ministerial aspect of it. Being a Christian television station, you're not just serving the people, but you're serving the souls of Christ. So you've enabled us bring these trophies back home. We appreciate you, our audience. We thank you for voting for us. We thank you for trusting us, as well as supporting the mission that is ahead. Keep supporting us as well across all our programs, even with this month of December. And we'd really, really appreciate, and we're looking forward to bagging more and more and more. So asante sana from the team as well. I speak as well on behalf of the team from various departments, across the broadcasting, across the editing department, transmission department, production department, every single person, as well as radio, because you can't see them, but you can always hear them through 104.0. I also say asante sana for that. So my name is Cynthia Nanjala. Aside from the trophies, we also have got a show to do this morning. It is a great lineup as well. For the next 1 hour 30 minutes, do keep me company. We'll be taking a look at stories making headlines across the country, and then we'll be having a conversation on the mini polls, the aftermath of that, the winners, the losers, and all that is in between. A lot of bloodshed, as well as security aspects of it. We'll just be taking a look at that. We'd love to hear from you this morning across our feedback lines. Our SMS line is 23059. Our WhatsApp number as well is on your screen. Talk to us. Do tell us where you're watching us from this morning, and we'll be happy to sample your feedback, questions, thoughts, comments, perhaps that you may have concerning this show. So it is December, the first show of December. Let's get this show started. Now, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has accused President William Ruto and the Nairobi County Governor Johnson Sakaja of orchestrating a violent incident that disrupted a church service, alleging the use of hired goons and excessive force to intimidate congregants. Speaking after the incident in Kariobangi North, Gachagua claimed that groups of suspected goons invaded the church, hurling stones and causing chaos among worshippers. He further alleged that police officers failed to intervene during the attack and instead deployed tear gas outside the church compound to disperse crowds. According to Gachagua, tear gas was later lobbed inside the church, which he said was occupied by women, and children, escalating the situation and causing panic. The former DP strongly condemned what he described as the use of intimidation and violence to disrupt religious gatherings, arguing that such actions only deepen public resentment against the government.
Tumefika pahali katika Jamhuri ya Kenya ambayo William Ruto anataka kulazimisha sisi kuunga yeye mkono kwa nguvu. Ametuma wahuni na polisi ati wapige watu wa Kariobangi North kwa sababu hawakuchagua mtu ya UDA. Hakuna shida. What I can tell you, William Ruto, let me give you free advice. You are radicalizing the Kikuyu nation. And that is exactly the mistake mkoloni alifanya. Vile alipiga hii watu ya jamii hii, ndio walimkataa zaidi. Kila siku ukipanga wahuni kupiga viongozi, kupiga wananchi, ndio hii jamii na kuchukia zaidi kuliko vile imekuchukia. Na yule anakushauri amekupoteza. Ati wewe ukifikiria ati hii jamii utaihangaisha, utaipiga, ati ndio ikukubali, ni wakati wako unapoteza. Na mimi nikuambie gavana, wafuasi wangu walikupigia kura. Bora natumiwa na Ruto kutuma wahuni kuhangaisha watu ya jamii yangu. Why? These people voted for you. You have turned against them. Sasa Ruto anakutuma na mihuni upige hii jamii ati kwa sababu hataki mambo yako. You cannot get the support of this community by force. Ukiuliza Ruto Narok atakwambia alijaribu kutumia kifua ati kulazimisha jamii ipigie mtu ya UDA kura wakakataa. Na mimi nataka pia nishukuru watu ya Narok, hasa wama, jamii ya maa, walichunga Wakikuyu waende wapige kura. Kwa hivyo uhusiano umeanza wa kisiasa ndani ya DCP between the Maa nation and the mountain. This is just for the beginning. I want to thank the Maa community for protecting the Kikuyu community from harassment in Narok. Na pia nishukuru wa Kikuyu wa huko kwa kuwa na ujasiri na kukataa kuuziwa uoga.
Nairobi County has emerged as the leading hotspot for new HIV infections in Kenya, according to the latest data released by the National Syndemic Disease Control Council. The report shows that in the past year alone, Nairobi recorded more than 3,000 new HIV infections out of the 19,991 cases reported nationwide. This marks a worrying increase in new infections across the country, which rose by 19% from 16,752 cases to nearly 20,000. Data from the council indicates that nearly half of all new HIV infections are concentrated in just 8 counties. This include Nairobi, Migori, Kisumu, Homa Bay, Busia, Siaya, Kakamega and Nakuru, highlighting persistent regional disparities in HIV transmission. The report further reveals that young people between the ages of 15 and 34 remain the most affected and accounting for the majority of new infections. Health experts warn that this trend underscores the need for targeted prevention strategies focusing on youth, including awareness campaigns, testing and access to treatment. In addition to rising infections, the council reported an increase in AIDS-related deaths, which climbed to 21,007 during the same reporting period. And today actually is the day, is the World AIDS Day, and so a lot of awareness as well will be happening concerning that. Now, still on that same story, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has called on Kenyans to intensify efforts in the fight against HIV and AIDS, describing it as a critical national duty requiring both commitment and substantial investment. Speaking on behalf of President William Ruto at the 2025 World AIDS Day commemoration held at Nyayo Stadium, Mudavadi highlighted the challenges posed by the epidemic while acknowledging the progress Kenya has made over the past 4 decades. He noted that 1.3 million people are currently living with HIV in Kenya, with the nation requiring 30 billion shillings to secure essential commodities for prevention, for care and for long-term management. The Cabinet Secretary praised the country's achievements, reporting that 87% of people living with HIV are on antiretroviral treatment, ARVs or ART, while coverage for the prevention of mother-to-child transmission has reached 90.1%.
Fellow Kenyans, unless we mitigate its effects, HIV and AIDS will continue to have a wide socioeconomic impact that threatens development, progress in Kenya. This is particularly so because it affects the most productive and energetic, people aged between 15 and 49 years. Employees, both in the public and private sector, are affected. In view of this, the Kenya government, through the National Syndemic Diseases Control Council, has developed strategies and facilitated the right environment that allows multi-sectoral interventions and promotes public-private partnerships in addressing HIV and other syndemic diseases. I would like to assure you of the commitment of the Kenya government to ensuring access to comprehensive prevention, care, and treatment services to all. The government has worked with different development partners and stakeholders to reduce the burden of treatment by providing antiretroviral drugs to eligible persons living with HIV. Though the cost of HIV treatment has substantially reduced, many people still lack access to the life-saving drugs. The government is doing its best to ensure that access to antiretroviral treatment is enhanced. This is a big challenge. We cannot afford to let it go because the resurgence is worrying, the resurgence is aggressive, and the resurgence needs to be checked before it finishes our young generation. The data that we have had from 16,000, I think 3 years or so ago, to 19,000 young, almost 20,000 cases. It was 19,900 and something new cases of the young perishing because of the resurgence of AIDS is something for us to worry about. And
one key issue that we are getting in the report about children is parental neglect, and we are receiving cases of about 70% of all cases reported about children are issues of parental neglect.
Public Service Cabinet Secretary Geoffrey Ruku has accused former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua of using goons to interfere with and subvert the final results of the recently concluded polls in Mbeere North. Speaking at Suneka Catholic Church in Kisii, where he attended a Catholic Women's Funds Drive, Ruku claimed that the alleged actions were aimed at destabilizing the electoral process. He warned against what he termed divisive politics, saying the country is not ready for leaders who seek to divide Kenyans along ethnic lines. The Cabinet Secretary urged Kenyans to reject politics of division and instead focus on unity and national cohesion, emphasizing that peaceful political engagement is key to the country's stability and development.
Ukichunga kina mama, hata nasitaki kusema kina baba wetu sio wazuri, lakini hii ndio ground. Ukichunga kina mama, hakikisha kwamba wako na maji, barabara zinawafikia kwa nyumba, mazao yao ya shamba inafika kwa soko. Hapa hatutakuwa tunasema tam, tutasema tam mingi zaidi.
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has praised the outcome of the recently concluded polls, saying the results reflect growing public support for his political outfit, the Democracy for Citizens Party, having been in place for just 7 months. Speaking at a Thanksgiving service held at Kariobangi North, Gachagua said the DCP had performed strongly by clinching 3 out of 5 seats it contested. He described the outcome as an encouraging sign and urged Kenyans to continue backing the party, which he said stands for the people-centered leadership and accountable governance. Gachagua, however, clarified that DCP did not field a candidate in the Mbeere North by-election.
Na msijali maneno ya Mbeere. DCP haikuwa na candidate Mbeere. DCP ilikuwa na candidate Kariobangi North, tukashinda. Narok Town tukashinda. Kiza East tukashinda. Purko tukashindwa kidogo na Magarini. Chama ambaye ni ya mwezi 7 imechukua viti 3 out of 5. Nimeona maanalisti ya magazeti wakifanya mambo mingi, hawaongei mambo ya ushindi ya Nairobi, hawaongei mambo ya Narok, hawaongei mambo ya Kisa, wanaongea mambo ya Mbeere. Mbeere mimi nilienda kusaidia DP na wakashinda, wakaibiwa na ni sawa. Lakini sisi we focus on our party, the DCP. Na hapa Nairobi tunataka sasa DCP ivume. Huu ushindi wa Kariobangi North ndio chanzo ya safari ya DCP katika Nairobi. Hapa Kariobangi tulishinda UDA, walikuwa namba 4. Narok tulishinda UDA. Kiza East tulishinda UDA na ODM. Hiyo waongei. Na niseme hapa Nairobi, wale wafuasi walikuwa wa UDA, wale walipigia William Ruto, hawakuwa wafuasi wa William Ruto, walikuwa wafuasi wa Rigiji. Na Rigiji ameondoka na hiyo wafuasi wao. Mimi niseme watu ya Kariobangi, asanteni sana. DCP is a party for Nairobi. Na hii ndio chanzo ya siasa yetu hapa Nairobi. na sisi tumepangana vizuri na kiongozi wa Wiper ambaye ndiye amekuwa akisaidia ODM hapa Nairobi. Tumekubaliana kiti cha gavana kitachukuliwa na DCP. Kiti cha seneta kitachukuliwa na DCP. Kiti cha women rep kitachukuliwa na DCP. Tumekubaliana na Wiper kati ya viti 17 kati ya DCP na Wiper tutachukua viti 16, na kati ya viti 85 ya ward between DCP and Wiper tutachukua 75. Kwa hivyo msitishwe, msihangaishwe, muvumilie.
All right, let's quickly take a look at the newspapers this morning and what is making headlines. So I'll begin with the Daily Nation. By-elections fallout. This almost preempting as well what would be our conversation this morning in just a few minutes. So is it double standards? We had leaders within the Broad-Based and Kenya Kwanza government who were supporting a different candidate. For example, in ODM Kitutu Church's South Member of Parliament Anthony Kibagendi was supporting a candidate from Matiang'i's UPA party. ODM's Caleb Amisi was supporting DAPK candidate in Malava. Homa Bay Deputy Governor Oyugi Magwango of ODM went against his boss in the Kasipul parliamentary race. Kitutu Masaba, Member of Parliament Clive Ombane, supported MCA candidates of Matiang'i's party. Now, Kakamega Senator Boni Halwale of UDA was supporting as well DAPK man Seth Panyako in Malava. In UDA, Nyali MP Mohamed Ali was backing DCP candidate in the Magarini by-elections. In a Kabuchai parliamentary seat, Majimbo Kalasinga of Ford Kenya was supporting an independent candidate, while Kakamega Deputy Governor Ayub Savula was rooting for UDA candidate in Malava by-election when he himself is of the DAPK party. So is it double standards? Now these top politicians who are backing rival candidates in the just concluded polls are facing disciplinary action, including potential removal from party and parliamentary leadership positions. Sources in the broad-based government of Kenya Kwanza and ODM reveal plans to reorganize parliamentary leadership, to reflect the current political realignment. So that means some of these individuals, there's going to be a whip that will be cracked on them. Now, interestingly, Boni Halwale is the majority leader, is the majority whip within the Senate. So what question will be, will he be whipped himself in this particular point, even as the aftermath of the polls continue to be felt across the country? So we'll be having a much deeper conversation on that in just a few minutes. Now, also top of the page, paradox of jobless PhD holders. While advanced education is often hailed as the path to opportunity, for many of the country's most educated citizens, it has instead become a journey into uncertainty. Behind every PhD certificate lie years of sacrifice, long nights, financial strain, and immense dedication. Yet, instead of leading research and policy, many of these Kenyan scholars are trapped in cycles of part-time teaching, unpaid consultancies, or total joblessness. So Kenya produces approximately between 300 to 400 PhD graduates every year against a national target of at least 1,000. So this perhaps reflects the bigger picture of unemployment. Regardless of whether you've done a diploma or a degree or master's, you're likely to end up unemployed. And so, with PhD, this is the topmost of the education chain. Once you get to that point, you're doing long nights, you're doing consultancies, financial strain result, just the cost of pursuing a PhD in Kenya. And then that does not reflect with, the income that you're likely to get from this PhD. That is the story as well. Now to the Standard newspaper. Another SHA ripoff, scam loading. For 21 years, a disputed 23-acre plot in Karen has swallowed billions for a hospital that exists only in paper. Despite an active court fight, forged documents, and unanswered ownership claims, the Social Health Authority now wants another 50 million shillings for a fence around land the state may not even own, thus keeping a ghost project alive at a staggering cost. Now, according to Peter David Leparakwo, the landowner, he says there's no government agency that has not investigated this matter, from the DCI to the National Land Commission, the Ministry of Lands. I have lived here for more than 40 years. As far as I'm concerned, there's no dispute. The land is occupied by me, and the title deed is in my name. But the problem is there's a ghost hospital that is getting billions of money allegedly on this particular land. So how disputed SHA land ghost project cost taxpayers 1.5 billion Kenyan shillings. Now, it is a crime scene without a corpse, a construction site without a single brick. It is a ghost project, and this empty plot has consumed 1.5 billion shillings in actual payments to various consultants. Besides spending bills worth 5.6 billion presented to SHA by various service providers, which are awaiting payment. Now, this amount comprises the cost of buying the land, quantity survey, a business plan, a financial analysis, consultancy fees, legal fees, architectural design, service fees, and feasibility study. The deal leaves behind only a trail of forged documents, questionable payment, and a 21-year-old court case frozen in time. So we've been speaking about just how much, or at least the rate of ghost things in the country, ghost workers, ghost teachers, ghost schools, ghost voters, ghost polling stations, ghost hospitals. Here we are now having another situation as well, where there's a land, a man owns a land which belongs to him, he's got that title deed, but state documents reveal that they have been paying money to acquire this land. They have been paying money as well for legal fees on this land, architectural designs for this land, and there's no hospital. So questions arise, and this perhaps could be another scam loading over the Social Health Authority. Also on the standard, the HIV infections worry. How Kenya records increase in new HIV infections, and new infections are recorded between averagely 15 years of age to about 35. At the same time, Nairobi is the region that has recorded higher cases. In terms of gender, women are recording more HIV new infections. Now, there are very many causes of HIV infections. Could be mother to child sort of infections. Could be, through various means other than the perhaps most common one, and that is the sexual intercourse infection. And even as the world marks World AIDS Day today, the year of 2025, it's a wake-up call for a lot of campaign and awareness around this, and just people to understand what this means as well, especially putting in mind that we saw the USAID cut back funding, and the US is also cutting back funding on key health projects in Kenya. So this means there's going to be a lot of go slow in terms of acquiring antiretroviral drugs, in terms of acquiring the medication that is required, or even testing kits. So this is a wake-up call as well. So those are some of the stories making headlines on the newspapers this morning. Allow me to take a break, but when we come back, we'll be getting into the conversation concerning the mini polls aftermath. Who really lost and who really won? Putting in mind that all constituencies went to the broad-based government, despite a section of opposition parties having candidates, and also the fact that DCP, the new baby in town, has got 3 ward representatives in Nairobi, in Narok, and those are some of the conversations that we will be having in just a few minutes. Stay with us, don't go too far.